Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about Piaget's theory of cognitive development. So Jean Piaget is a Swiss psychologist, and he suggested that basically children go through different stages of cognitive development. That is his theory of cognitive development. We'll go through the stages one by one. So basically what he suggested or what he put forward is that every child, they go through one stage after another, and the quantity of information that we acquire and also the quality of information is different in each stages. Okay. And also, as child move from one stage to another, the child need that kind of exposure. Okay, that is to move from one to another, or else it will be a bit difficult. Okay, so we'll go to the stages. Yeah, these are actually 4 stages. Okay, so first one is sensory motor stage. This is basically approximately from birth to 2 years. The second one is pre-operation stage, which is basically 2 years to 7 years. Okay. And then concrete operational. This is from 7 to 12 years. And then we have the formal operation, which is from 12 years and to adulthood. Okay, now we'll go through the stages one by one. First one we have is a sensory motor stage. So this is basically from birth to 2 years. That is basically babies. Okay, so in this stage, the children base their understanding of the world through, sucking, chewing, touching, all that. And one important development that happens during this stage is object permanence, but this usually happens after 9 months. Okay, so before 9 months, the children, they usually doesn't have the competency to understand or, to have this mental representation of things around them. Okay, that is why we can say that before 9 months, they usually lack what is called as object permanence. So for example, if you show a child a toy, okay, and then you hide it somewhere, if it is out of their sight, they usually think that it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so that is why we can say that they lack object permanence. But after 9 months, they slowly start developing this. And then if you show a small toy or a pen or anything, and then maybe when you hide it, they'll come looking after it because they develop what is called as object permanence. Okay, so this is one of the important development that happen in the sensory motor stage. Okay. So the next stage is pre-operation stage. So here, this is basically from 2 to 7 years. Okay. So in this stage, one important development is the use of language. Okay. And then next one is the child will develop an internal representation system. Okay. So that could be about the people around or, feelings or anything. The child will have his or her own representation system. That is, for example, it would be a simple also. For example, I can give you that is a pen. Okay, so the child might be playing with a pen as though it is a car. Okay, so that is a system the child has developed. Okay, so that is one important development that happens during this period. And another thing is, even though the child has developed, that is a cognitive development happens in a lot of ways, the child has not developed cognitive thinking as that of an adult. Because of which, during this period, the child usually have what is called as egocentric thought. This means that the child will think that everybody sees the world as he or she sees the world. Okay, basically the child sees everything from his or her own perspective. So that is what is meant by egocentric thought. So for example, maybe you might have experienced it, or you can see that is maybe a child will come to you and say, no, he talked to me that way. So you don't know who this he is, or you don't know what that is. So basically you're out of context there. But the child believes that we already know about it, because the child shares a view, or has actually thought that everybody has this thought, that everybody shares his or her viewpoint. Okay, so that is egocentric thought. And next one is lack principle of conservation. So this is something which develops in the next stage. So this basically means that child at this stage doesn't know what is the principle of conservation. That is, a quantity is unrelated to the appearance of an object. That is, for example, if you give a child 2 bottles or 2 glasses and the same quantity of water, but the shapes of the glasses are different, the child will think, no, the quantity is also different, because they haven't developed the principle of conservation during this period. Okay, so that is pre-operational stage. And the next one we have is the concrete operation stage. So this is usually from 7 to 12 years. Okay. So one important development that happens during this period is the principle of conservation. Okay, so they understand the basic of it, not the principle, not too much of it, but they understand the very basic principles. Okay, so another thing is they move to more logical way of thinking. Okay, so their idea, the egocentric thoughts, starts coming down, and they actually start seeing things differently. Okay, another thing is principle of reversibility. So during this period, they start to understand that some things which are done can be undone. Okay, like example, through a clay. You can make a thing out of a clay and maybe then you roll it back to a ball. So such examples can be given for the principle of reversibility. So these are some of the important developments that happen during concrete operational stage. Okay. And next we are moving on to the last one, that is formal operational stage. Okay, this is from 12 years to adulthood. Okay, so here the child develops abstract, formal and logical way of thinking. Okay, so here the child will be able to think about abstract things and also, hypothetical nature. Okay, not just what the child observes in the environment, but something outside also. That is slowly they start, solving problems and all that. So this happens during this period. Okay, and another thing is, even though, this actually happens during teenagers, several studies has shown that many individuals may never reach this age. Because as I mentioned the earlier slides, we need to get that exposure to reach the fullest potential of the cognitive development, or else we might not even reach here. Okay, so that is formal operation stage. So basically, according to John Piaget, there are 4 stages in our cognitive development. The first one we have is sensory motor stage, which is basically approximately from birth to 2 years. Then we have is the pre-operation stage, which is from 2 to 7 years. And then we have is a concrete operation stage, which is 7 to 12 years. And then we have formal operation stage, 12 years to adulthood. Okay, so I hope you guys understood this. Thank you.